Welcome, one and all, to this week's episode of Scotch and Smoke Rings, episode 417. I am your friendly neighborhood Oxhorn, here as always with my... Something's wrong. Anyway, glad to have you on the program today. We're going to have a fantastic show, and a big shout out to all of the moderators who are making this whole thing possible. We have a bunch of mods who are moderating all of the chats and who will be reading your questions and then reading them aloud to me so that I can answer them. Say hi, mods.
Salutations, everybody.
Black Shawarma's in the chat. Good to see you, Shawarma. Been a long time. Actually, no, I saw you last week as well. So it's good to see that you keep on coming back as I'm growing. And lots of people in the chat. Great. Everyone got my YouTube and Twitch notifications. Greetings from the silence, says Shawarma. Oh, that's good. Hey, Cigarox is there too. Joyful 8th anniversary. Oh, man, it's good to see all of the old hats in the chat today. Well, we've got... I've got a... Shawarma says, was I here last week? I thought I saw you last week. I could be wrong. Maybe it was Cigarox I saw last week. Anyway, great to have everybody on the chat today. I've got a great show for you. We had a fun video this morning. I published a video on greener pastures in Fallout 3 and the MDPL-13 power station. I know, exciting stuff. But this is, well, I'm thinking about doing a series on the pre-war infrastructure of the Fallout universe. I already did that for Fallout 4 a little bit. I had a nice big series on mass fusion and all of the power plants that they had there and much of the waste disposal that mass fusion did in the Commonwealth, which was very interesting, and a lot of murder and mayhem went on in that story. But there are a lot of really cool power plants in the Fallout 3 universe as well, in the Capital Wasteland. And I showed off one of those power plants in today's video, and I showed off a dumping site where it's likely they dumped their toxic waste. But there are a whole bunch more, and I'm going to be doing a big video on the pre-war infrastructure in the coming weeks. But I mean, I've got a lot of content ahead of me. I still have to finish off the Wasteland Survival Guide, which I'm working hard on. We need to move on to our next New Vegas DLC. So I guess that's going to be Lonesome Road, right? I told everybody that I was going to be doing them in order. So I did Dead Money. And so the next one I believe is Lonesome Road, or was it Honest Hearts? It's the one with Joshua Graham. I think it's Honest Hearts. Lonesome Road. I'll get to it. I'm going to get to it. It's going to be the right one, and I will do it in order. I think it's Honest Hearts. Anyway, so then we're going to do the one with Joshua Graham for New Vegas. And then I've got a slew of content for Fallout 4 to do as well. I have made over 400 Fallout videos to date. And I'm still not even done with Fallout 4. We're going to be focusing... I'll give... So here's the benefit of coming to a live stream of Scotch and Smoke Rings. We are going to be... Here's a sneak peek. This weekend, we're going to be taking a look at some of the Nuka World theme parks. I'm not going to tell you which one, but I'm going to be going there with my railroad character and really diving into the lore of some of these theme parks in Nuka World. Tomorrow's video is going to be on Fallout New Vegas, and it's all about House's evil brother. Did you even know that Robert House had a brother? That's right. We will learn about his evil, paranoid, crazy brother in tomorrow's video. So I'm going to be working on that video today. Anyway, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Lots of stuff to do. So I'm keeping busy. But what's really helping is I showed these off last week. I finally went and got all of the official strategy guides for every Fallout game, including Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout Tactics 3, New Vegas, and 4. So I've been working on my video about Anthony House. And there's a lot of there's a lot of lore that is not in the game. This is why I have to get these, because there's a lot of lore about these characters and these locations that just is not in the game. The developers thought a lot about them and they came up with a bunch of great backstory, but they never put it in the game, so there's no way for any of us to know this unless we read the strategy guide, where they tend to write small bios. At the very end of this book, there's an entire profile, a 2-page profile on Mr. House. And it's fascinating, and it's got all sorts of stuff that we just don't find in the game. and including the chapter on, well, I won't tell you where I'm going to be exploring tomorrow, but on his brother, it gives us a bunch of really great information that we otherwise wouldn't have access to. So I'm going to be piecing this all together into a wonderful constellation of lore. But you know what? This is Scotch and Smoke Rings. I realize we have no smoke rings, but we still have the opportunity to do Scotch. Today we are drinking some 10-year-old Glencullen Speyside single malt Scotch whiskey, which is a particular delight. Let's see. Should we have just a drop? Maybe we should have more than a drop. Yeah, maybe we should just... Why not? It's Thursday. But that means I have to get a new bottle. Finally finished off a bottle, and I just spilled Scotch all over my desk. Let's mop this up, although it will evaporate quickly. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, pleasure to have you on the program, and it is time for your questions. So for those who are new to the program, what we tend to do is at the very beginning, I'll leave the floor open to you. You guys can have a brief Q&A, and we'll talk about life, the meaning of life, love, and what is that Hitchhiker's Guide quote? I forget. Something about dolphins. Anyway, we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, and then we'll play a game. Today we will be playing Metro 2033. I know, I'm in love with this game. I only get to play it on Thursdays during the show because I'm so busy the rest of the week producing content for my YouTube channel that I don't have any time to play games just for fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have a blast making all my Fallout 4 videos and Fallout New Vegas videos, and I'm very grateful that I'm able to go back and revisit many of these games that have been out for years or even decades in some case, like in the case of Fallout 1. I wouldn't be able to do it if I wasn't doing this professionally, so I'm very grateful for that. But sometimes I just want to sit back and kill monsters, and Metro 2033 is great for that. So we'll be playing that a little bit later, but let me open the floor up to you guys. What is on your mind? Legiet Australis says Oxhorn is in a state of undress. Where are the suspenders? I mean, just because I don't have the suspenders on does not mean I'm in a state of undress. Even though you cannot see below my waist, I assure you I am wearing pants. But there are such things as belts. Maybe I'm wearing a belt. I'm not saying I am, but it's possible. Don't need to let your imagination run too far. Anyway, sorry about that, mods. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to open up by giving a shout out to Cigarox and Shawarma. Thank you so much for being here, keeping the spirit of the good old days of past alive by being here. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much for watching this show.
And that, of course, is the voice of none other than Mr. Gregoron. What is it you wanted to be called? I mean, you said no more Gregoron. What was it? You got a new name.
No, I go by Gregoron. That's kind of my RP name. You can call me by my real life name if you want, whatever you like.
This is the guy who would always pull a Hearthstone whenever we would play Hearthstone together. If I even got close to beating him in Hearthstone, he would surrender. We called that pulling a Hearthstone on the show during the old days.
And I'll still continue to do it to this day, and I have no regrets. All right, so let me just open up by a generous tip by the Dark Seth Seraph. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And he says, cracked open some ice-cold whiskey. Cheers, Oxhorn.
Cheers to you as well. Seraph, I think is how you pronounce it. Seraph. Anyway, cheers to you as well. Glad to have you on the program. Chin chin. I also have coffee. Something about a coffee at 7 o'clock at night just hits a spot. Let's keep the messages coming. Come on. All right, I'll read some.
Sorry, I'm kind of on my own in terms of looking for questions here, so forgive me as some of the questions, the flow is rather slow tonight.
That's all right.
Also, I have not... Well, actually, I shouldn't mention that either.
Right. Oh, Greg.
Sometimes the best things to say is not saying anything at all.
The Wyatt
particularly
Show
if-
says, today is my mom's birthday. Well, congratulations to your mom and happy birthday to her. You can tell her that I'm wishing her happy birthday personally. Conan or Refuse says, Oxhorn, are you married? I am indeed married. Been married for 5 years? Five. We just had our 5th wedding anniversary, so. Happiest guy in the world. Panzer says, Ox, would you ever do any Metro lore vids? Maybe. I'm getting into Metro. I'm really enjoying it. And I find myself kind of skipping by the lore. But that's the same thing I did when I first started playing Fallout. When I first played Fallout, I went through the main story. I read a lot of the lore. You know, I got the big picture. But I was so focused on building my weapons, building my settlements, building my character, completing the game, that I missed a lot of the side stories in particular. It took going back, revisiting the game on a new character, and meticulously going through every location for me to be able to unpack everything and understand the lore. And I guess maybe that's the way I play games. I'll go through it once just to get a feel for it, and then I'll go through it again to focus on the details. Because that's what I'm doing with Metro. I haven't read all of the lore. I'm enjoying what I see so far. There's a supernatural element to it that's bizarre. But it will develop as we go forward. So I'm not saying no, but I am focused on Fallout right now.
All right, we got a question from Sledgehammer Man who asks, where do you get your information from? In-game or also from other sources?
Well, what I'll do... Okay, so let me use the video that I'm working on today, for tomorrow, as an example. What I'll do is I'll already know where I want to go based on places that I've been in the past. I tend to visit places that are connected to things that I've already done, so that my viewers who are watching every single video every single day are going to have some sort of linear consistency. Each video will, in some way, refer to something that I talked about in a previous video. That way, that it's a more smooth story for them. But also, it's easier for me to do while playing the game, because I'll go and say, visit one location. There were 3 quests that sent me to that location. I then go and do those 3 quests. Those 3 quests were given by other people in other locations. Then I'll do videos on those locations, and it sort of all connects in this web. It's easier for me to do it that way rather than just going from one end of the world to the other. But what I tend to do is I'll go into a dungeon, for example, and I'll explore it all on my own and try and uncover every bit of detail that I can on my own. And then I'll piece together the story as I think. Then I'll go and do research. Maybe I'll go online to online wikis or Reddit threads and see what other people are saying, see what other people have found on the wikis, and then I'll pull out the official strategy guides and see if there's anything that any of us have missed. That way that I'm as sure as I can be that I'm telling the complete story. But that's how I go about doing it.
Okay, we got a couple of tips here. One from Dead Fox, and this person, I don't know if it's a he or she, says, Oxhorn, I love your videos. Hello from Mexico.
Well, thank you very much. Pleasure to have you watching all the way from Mexico.
All right, and we got another tip from Shade Marie, who says, just want to say I love your videos, longtime viewer, and I'm finally able to give a little tip.
Well, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Your tips go directly into my movie production budget, which is what makes all of the videos. So thank you very much.
All right, and we got a kind of a brash question here from Emo Dolph Memes, who asks, Oxhorn, would you rather delete all of your Fallout characters in every game or permanently shave your beard?
Ugh! This is tough. This is really tough. Permanently shave my beard, as in never be able to wear it again? This is an evil choice, because no matter what I choose, something dies. I guess I would have to delete all my characters, because I can always go and make more. But if I could never grow a beard back, could I?
You could relive the glory days of revisiting the Fallout world again.
That's true. Well, I mean, I do that anyway with every new character I make. I made a new Railroad character a few months ago, and I've been going through it all again. It's been a blast. Why did you name yourself Oxhorn? Says Wolf Gamer Rocks. This is a story I have told on many occasions, but I'll tell it again. Back when I was a young lad, I played a game called Dark Age of Camelot. I don't know if any of you remember Dark Age of Camelot, but in that game there was a class of character where you could turn into a giant stag, and he was called a hero. And I had a Furbolg hero, and he wielded spears, and he had a shield, and he could turn into a giant stag, and I called him Staghorn. Well, then I started playing World of Warcraft, and the closest thing to a guy who could turn into a giant stag was the Tauren. So I made a Tauren druid, but the Taurens aren't stags, they're bovine creatures. So I named him Oxhorn. It was then that I started doing all of my World of Warcraft movies back in the day on my other channel, and so my online name of Oxhorn sort of developed from that. And that's who I am today.
Okay, we got a question from, I forgot your name. It kind of flew off, so forgive me for that. She asks, which Fallout do you think had the best soundtrack in your opinion, if you have one?
I do. I think it's easy to say Fallout 4, hands down. That is not to say that I don't appreciate the other Fallout soundtracks. I do. But you can clearly hear Ion Zuul, the composer, develop over the years. Ion composed Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3, and Fallout 4. And I believe he even did a little bit... It was another guy named Matt for Fallout 1, and I'm not sure if Ion came on for Fallout 2. I don't recall. But for 3, New Vegas, and 4, he was the composer. And if you listen to the music from 3 and New Vegas, it's good, but there are moments of what I would call rather cliche gaming music, where it's not very creative. It's sort of just... Oh, action scene, monsters are attacking, lots of loud noises, let's bang the drums, just... It's kind of cliche gaming music. And that's to be expected. I mean, we find that a lot in video games. But as the years went on, when he came to Fallout 4 and he sat down to do the score for Fallout 4, there's a lot less of that. There are a few moments like that, but I really appreciate how he developed rich themes for each of the factions. And each of the different factions has 2 or 3 different songs that are incredibly thematic. And you can hear those unique themes when you visit those locations. When you go to the Cambridge Police Station or the Boston Airport, the Brotherhood of Steel music will play, and variants of that. When you go to the airport ruins, the Brotherhood of Steel battle music will play. It's interesting how we develop those into distinct themes, and all of the themes are really good. I can't think of a single theme that I don't like. And you go to the Institute, it's got this high-tech sci-fi 50s movie kind of vibe, which is just really cool. I love the Institute music. But then you go to the Railroad, and the music is so iconic. And it's got this, 007 secret agent kind of music thing going on. And I just love listening to all of the different faction themes that he came out with. And I feel like that's missing a little bit in some of his earlier work in New Vegas and 3. Now, it does exist. There are themes, but they're less developed. So I think he just evolved as a composer by the time it came to Fallout 4, which is why the Fallout 4 soundtrack is, in my opinion, better. But they're all really good.
All right. We got a question from Kate Duff, who says, Ox, it's Kate. I'm one of your $100 a month Patreons.
Hey, Kate! That's right. She's in the credits of all of my new videos.
Her question is, what do you think of the idea of the next Fallout being from Vault-Tech's perspective?
I crave the knowledge of everything about Vault-Tech. Who the CEO was, who the masterminds were, all of the their machinations with the United States government, whether or not they really did cause the nuclear apocalypse just because they wanted to test their experiment, who the scientists were who came up with these experiments. I need that information. I want to know that. So, yes, I would love if Bethesda came out with a DLC or Fallout 5 where we finally get to peer into the minds of the Vault-Tec people who came up with all of these horrible experiments that have traumatized humanity for over 200 years. That would be great.
All right, and we got ourselves another generous tip from PigeonMan49, who asks, Oxhorn, what's the one thing you hate about the Fallout series as a whole?
I dropped hair in my scotch. It's just sad. But I'll still drink it. What do I hate about the Fallout series? What do I hate about the Fallout series? What do I hate about the Fallout series? Well, the only thing that annoys me on a daily basis is something that most people probably won't notice. But for me, I notice it every single day, and it's that it's how human the developers were. They make very human mistakes every now and then, and I realize that they've got teams of hundreds of people who are putting these games together, sometimes hundreds of people. Sometimes it's a team of only 12 people, you know. Sometimes it's a very small team. But they've got teams of people who are putting these games together, and they've got budgets that are in the millions of dollars, so they shouldn't make mistakes, right? But the reality is that they are very human. And they do make mistakes. And it's not just Bethesda. It's Obsidian 2. And all of the Fallout games, even the original ones done by Interplay, have big, glaring mistakes that bother me as someone who's interested in lore. Now, I don't get all bent out of shape over it because they're human beings who, at one moment in their lives, were working on a video game, they finished the game, and there's absolutely no way that they would ever be able to go back and fix these mistakes. But as someone who's interested in the lore of the Fallout series, as a piece of art, for lack of a better word, the persistent mistakes still bother me, and they leave questions that never get answered, and they lead to all sorts of crazy conspiracy theories online, which, again, will never be answered yes or no until another Fallout game comes out, possibly, which will then introduce even more issues. So things like that bother me on a daily basis, and it's not just one company. It's not just Bethesda. It's Obsidian as well. It's Interplay as well. They've all made these mistakes, and it's annoying. But it's not so annoying that I'm ever going to stop playing Fallout.
Okay. We have a question from Hanako Yotsubashi. Forgive me if I butchered that name entirely. She asks, Galaxy News Radio or Diamond City Radio?
Galaxy News Radio. That said, I really like Diamond City Radio. I know that Travis gets a lot of hate. I was shocked when I entered the Wasteland for the first time and I heard Travis's whiny little voice on the radio. I sat here going, wait a minute, this isn't Three Dog. This isn't Mr. New Vegas, those bold, confident voices that told me the news and made me feel comfortable in my life. No, this is some whiny little guy who lacks self-confidence. But after that initial shock, I just thought it was hilarious. Because Travis, he's so snarky and sarcastic that he says the funniest things. And he gets worse when he gets his confidence back, which is why I've only done the quest to restore his confidence in himself once, in one of my playthroughs. On my first playthrough, I did the quest, and then his voice changed, and now he just sounds like he's got all of this fake bravado when he sits in front of the microphone. I prefer the whiny guy who made all of these sarcastic jokes and laughed whenever he had to play Rocket 69. That guy was funny. The other guy is just slightly annoying. But that said, Three Dog is amazing. Mr. New Vegas is great as well. But Three Dog how do you beat Three Dog? Hello, children. Oh, It's $3. I mean, how do you beat that? It's so great.
All right, we have another generous tip from Zach McGee, who asks, "Hey Ox, if you were to become the main protagonist in a Fallout game, which one would it be?"
If I had to, is he asking which game would I choose, or which protagonist would I choose to embody?
He asks, if you had to become the main protagonist in a Fallout game, which one would it be? Like, I would assume which Fallout game would it be?
I would choose Fallout 4 simply because that's the only one where we actually have the option to rebuild. In all of the other games, you can help other factions become powerful in the hopes that they make right choices and rebuild, or you can hoard power for yourself, but you can't actually rebuild the world. In Fallout 3, sure, you could side with Lion's Brotherhood of Steel, but we all learn how that happens. For those, I can't spoil it. I don't know what's a spoiler or what's not. Anyway, no matter how much work you put into Fallout 3, the canon ending is disappointing. And in Fallout New Vegas, we don't really know what the canon ending is, but all of the options are less than... They're all underwhelming. I mean, none of the factions are really good. But in Fallout 4, you can actually sit down and build settlements, rebuild cities, populate them with people as the General of the Minutemen. So if I had to choose, I would choose the only game where I actually have the ability to make a real difference.
And we got yet another generous tip from Cameron Rogu. Again, sorry for butchering that name. And he asks, "So Oxhorn, how is playing the original Fallout series by Interplay? Specifically, how is it in comparison to the newer ones?"
Great question. It's something I've been wanting to talk about, honestly. Here's the thing. I grew up on old school RPGs like the original Fallout. I never played the original Fallout. I kind of missed it. It came out in 1997. That's about the time when I was, getting ready to graduate from high school. I was thinking about college. I was moving on to other things. So I missed the early Fallouts. Coming back to them now, I'm getting a huge bang of nostalgia because I remember playing isometric RPG games like this, and it's just a completely different experience. You can't compare that kind of game with a third-person or first-person real-world shooter kind of game, even one with many RPG elements like Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas and the VAT systems there. So it's its own unique thing, which is wonderful. But all this time that I've been playing Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4, I have read comment after comment after comment from people just talking about how the original games were better and the lore is just amazing and you really got to experience that world. And the later games, when Bethesda took over, they didn't stay true to the world and blah, blah, blah. I'm going back into these worlds and I'm shooting footage and I'm faithfully recording the lore that I find there. And there is a spark of ingenuity which launched the entire Fallout franchise, which is there even in the first Fallout game. And because of that, I can say that I love the first Fallout game. But the very first thing you do in Fallout 1 is kill a bunch of rats. And then you go to another vault and you kill more rats. And then you get a random encounter on the way to Shady Sands, and what do you kill? You're killing more rats! And the big quest in Shady Sands, the big quest is to go kill rad scorpions. That's the big quest in Shady Sands, is to go kill rad scorpions. In Fallout 1, I mean, it's not like, okay, I understand it, that's the beginning of the game, these are just the first few locations. There are only 8 to 10 locations in Fallout 1. Your map, your world map, has a list of slots of about 10 or 12, I don't know how many, locations. And that's all of the locations in the game aside from the random encounter locations that you can stumble upon while exploring the world map. So it's not like that's a small sliver of the entire world. That's a pretty big sliver of the entire world. Now, That said, you do fight a lot more enemies. That's not the only enemies in the game. But I've been to Junktown, I've been to the hub, and a lot of these quests are just that. Like at the hub, you find this guy, and he says, "Oh, some raiders took over my farm. Will you help?" Yes. You go to the farm, and you kill some raiders. Okay. These are the quests you have to do. And another big quest in the hub is you have to join the Crimson Caravan to go on some caravans. Okay. So you join the Crimson Caravan, you go on a caravan, and you just get random encounters during the caravan ride, which is just another randomly generated enemy. And that's still fun. I'm not saying that's not fun. It is fun. But the lore, from looking at it from a strictly lore perspective, I'm not finding this wealth of lore from which to work with in Fallout 1. I get a backbone. There's a story backbone in Fallout 1 that's interesting, but a lot of the enemies and locations and quests are very generic RPG. Now, I have not played Fallout 2, and I've read a little bit about Fallout 2, and I read that has changed a little bit in Fallout 2. Things are much more in-depth, and that's because they had a lot more. And it's also harder because it's the very first game in the series. With Fallout 3 and New Vegas and Fallout 4, we've got, over a decade's worth of lore and people talking about lore and people playing the games and people making mods for the games upon which to build. So Bethesda certainly came into the game with a lot more to work with. And Interplay had to invent it completely from scratch. So this isn't a criticism at all. But from a gameplay perspective, from someone who's interested in the story, when you go through all of these different games and you visit these worlds and you actually play the game and read the lore, it's lighter. Fallout 1 is a lighter game. Now, like I've said, there are sparks of ingenuity throughout the entire thing, which is why the franchise has become as popular as it has. And in particular, I really like the dialogue. Some of the dialogue lines with the characters is really, really funny, which I tried to show off in my videos that I've done on Fallout 1 so far. I've done 2 videos on Fallout 1. I did the full story of Iguana Bits and then the story of Junktown. I'm working on another video right now. It's a little bit more in depth. I'm having to collect a lot of footage, but there are a lot of really great conversations with some of the characters. So that I really appreciate about Fallout 1. Hope that answered the question.
All right, and before I move on, I just want to give a shout out to DJ Autumn, who just entered the Twitch. She is another longtime viewer and decided to show up, so glad to see you back, DJ.
Hey, Autumn, good to see you.
All right, that aside, let me look through here. I think I have one. Oh, here we go. Court Foss asks, do you think the real milk of human kindness is in actual form is Scotch?
Yes, I do think that. That is fact, and it is canon. Scotch is the milk of human kindness.
You heard it from him. You can't deny that. We have another question from GamerTeen13, who asks, "Hey Ox, are you planning on doing The Pit anytime soon?"
The Pit? Yes, I am planning. Anytime soon? I'm not sure. I'm really focused on the Fallout New Vegas DLCs right now, and each of those DLCs takes a lot of prep work. I probably spent a week and a half to 2 weeks preparing for Dead Money before I was able to sit down and produce those videos, which themselves took up over a week in my production schedule just to make and publish them. Now, I did do the Operation Anchorage DLC, but I chose that one because it's so short and it's simple. It does not play like many of the other DLCs. It's extremely linear, and because of that, I was able to turn it into 1 hour-long video. The entire Operation Anchorage DLC I turned into 1 hour-long video, and I don't believe I skipped over any lore. I included it all, so it's not like people are missing anything by it only being one video. But Dead Money, I had to split into how many videos? 7 or 8 different videos just to get the entire story. So, yeah, the New Vegas DLCs are really in depth. This is one of the wonderful things about New Vegas. You can really tell how much Obsidian cared about the story they were trying to tell. Here's another really interesting thing, the difference between Obsidian and Bethesda when they come to games. And I'm not saying that one or the other is bad, and I know you didn't ask this question, but I've noticed that Obsidian is really focused on the current story. They put a lot of time and care and energy into telling the story that they're trying to tell. And sometimes it comes across as a little bit verbose. For example, when you enter the sink for the first time, you're talking to those robots for over an hour. For over an hour, you're sitting there listening to these robots just talk. That's an hour of exposition. And it's really interesting. It's all really interesting. Don't get me wrong. But that's a different form of storytelling. Bethesda's way of storytelling is less exposition and more interpretation. They have all of the elements of a great story there for you to find and piece together. Bethesda, as a consequence, Bethesda tends to talk a little bit more about pre-war history. One of the things that I am finding, at least in Fallout 4, they do that a lot in Fallout 4. In New Vegas, I'm finding a little bit of pre-war history, but many of the terminals, many of the locations don't have a lot of pre-war history. Even in Fallout 3, Bethesda did not have a lot of pre-war history. For example, I went to the Robco production facility, and even though this is the Robco production facility, a huge location in the Capital Wastelands, there's one terminal in the building, and it has zero pre-war lore. Really frustrating for a guy like me who's trying to do a video on this big corporate headquarters. Zero pre-war lore. No story whatsoever. But Bethesda changed when it came to Fallout 4 because every single location, nearly, has some story attached to it, which I think is just an advance. Their storytelling abilities have evolved a little bit, and their storytelling is different from Obsidian. Obsidian will sit down and narrate a story to you, like a storyteller at a campfire. Bethesda will put all of the clues to the story around you, and you might get a few pieces of exposition from a few characters here or there, but then you infer the story by exploring the scene. That's where I think that they put their focuses. But your question was originally different. What was the original question before I went off on that tangent?
I believe it was are you planning on doing the pit anytime soon?
Yes, but to get back to your question on the pit, I am planning on doing the pit. My ultimate goal is to do every DLC in all of the Fallout games, but I'm focusing on New Vegas DLCs first.
Okie dokie. We got another question from I forgot the name. It says Ox. Sorry. Ox, I'm planning on buying Fallout 4 and New Vegas. What should I do immediately in each game to ensure a good start?
Oh, gosh. Big question there. All right. Well, I can tell you what I did for Fallout 3. The first thing I did is I managed to wind myself all the way to the Outcast Outpost in DC and do Operation Anchorage. The reason that may be a great thing to do first is because you don't get any of your loot that you bring with you for that simulation, which means no matter what your level is, you get stripped naked and dropped into a world. So you don't have to have good gear, and all of the enemies are going to be scaled to your level. So you can walk in at level 1 and have the exact same experience as if you walked in at level 30. But the rewards are higher level rewards. So once you finish the Operation Anchorage DLC, you gain access to this huge pre-war armory where you can get a Gauss rifle, a Chinese stealth suit, an entire suit of T-51 power armor, and a bunch of great gear. So strictly from a gameplay perspective where you want to be best equipped to handle the wasteland, I would do Operation Anchorage first. Then you'll gain 5 or 6 levels. You'll have a full suit of T-51 power armor and power armor training. Then you can go off and play the rest of the game. And that's what I've been doing. Now, if you're wanting a more lore-focused experience where you feel the struggle of the Capital Wasteland, then you may not want to do that. Instead, you may just want to crawl your way to Megaton and then do all of the quests in Megaton first. For New Vegas, it's hard to answer that question because they guide you really well in New Vegas with the primary quest. They take you all the way from Good Springs until you ultimately arrive at the Lucky 38. And they kind of guide you through all of the important locations that you need to hit first. And that's how I would go about it. I would just do the primary quest. Along the way, you're going to find Novak, which you can use as a player home for a great period of time until you finally arrive at the Lucky 38. Plus, there's the Gene Skydiving Shack, which is right outside of Good Springs, which you can use as a temporary player home, or at least to store your belongings until you get to Novak. It's Fallout New Vegas. I think it's you can find your way there much more easily. As for Fallout 4, it really depends upon the gameplay that you want to do. When I sided with all of the other factions, the Brotherhood of Steel and the Institute, I skipped Sanctuary and Concord and went as fast as I could to Diamond City first. I got to Diamond City first. I did enough quests until I had enough money to buy home plate. I turned home plate into my player home until I was granted faction housing at the faction of my choice. That's how I chose to play those. But when I played the Minuteman character, I spent a ton of time and energy on Sanctuary. I was able to turn that into a great resource farm of purified water and food early in the game, and it even generated caps for me earlier in the game, from which I was able to build my expedition abilities. So it depends on the factions you want to start with.
Okay. Question from Divided by 9 asks, I would like to see a Fallout game at the perspective of the Enclave. How about you?
I would love to see a Fallout game that deals more with the Enclave. We dealt with the Enclave in Fallout 3. At the very beginning of Fallout 2 has some horrible Enclave stuff. So the Enclave has certainly had a great presence in the Fallout franchise, but it has been 2 games since the Enclave was really dealt with in any meaningful way. But I think that's primarily because the end of Fallout 3 is fairly definitive and canon. The canon ending of Fallout 3 is that the Enclave is pretty much destroyed. Now, in Fallout New Vegas, we do find remnants, Enclave remnants, and it might be interesting to see the remnants regain prominence, maybe to grow as a faction again. So who knows, maybe in Fallout 5, one of the big enemies won't be the Enclave, it'll instead be the remnants of the Enclave, instead of the remnants being a very minor faction in Fallout New Vegas. Either way, it would be really interesting.
All right, we got another question who sadly I could not retrieve the username. Asks, what do you believe is the most messed up vault?
Well, I haven't explored them all yet. I read about one vault where it was populated by something like 100 men and only 1 woman. That's a pretty messed up vault. That might rank way up there. But Vault 11, I think, in Fallout New Vegas is really, really horrible. It's really horrible. And it's got to be, I think if I was forced to choose one, I'd pick Vault 11 because the story is just so inhuman. As a scientist coming up with that experiment, you would have to be sadistic and inhuman to put real people through something like that. And for what? What do you gain by doing that experiment? You do that experiment for a couple generations, how many hundreds of people end up dying? You decimate the population of a vault, and for what? What do you actually gain by doing that experiment? I don't know. That one's pretty messed up. Then Vault 95, I believe it was. Well, Vault 75 and Vault 95 in Fallout 4 are also horrible. You've got the vault filled with drug addicts whom you're trying to help recover. And so you put them in a vault where they don't have any drugs. They form a beautiful community. And then all of a sudden, one of your secret agents uncovers a big stash of drugs. Oh, look, I found drugs. I wonder what'll happen with all of these druggies here. And of course, we know what's going to happen. That was pretty evil. And then the Vault which was 95 or 75, I forget which one, where you put a bunch of children and you train them to be optimal human specimens only to destroy them when they turn 18. They get this big graduation ceremony. Yeah, you turned 18. You can go to Up Top Land. And then when they go to leave, they get incinerated. What? Like, what were they trying to solve with that? Now, I suppose with that one, you could say that they were trying to refine the human genome or something. I don't know. But anyway, they're all pretty horrible. They're all pretty horrible and evil. Which is why a Fallout 5 that dealt a lot with Vault-Tec as a corporation would be fascinating.
I just want to point out, Bert Turbeville in the chat says 100 men and 1 woman. It was a Smurf vault.
Hey, Bert, good to see you. Bert leaves a lot of comments on the videos. Yeah. The difference, though, is that it's less child-friendly. This Smurf vault had a lot less blue, and it was a lot less child-friendly.
All right, we got a question from K Vile or Cavill, one of our mods. Sorry if I butcher your name too. Vile asks, what vault would you want to be from?
Well, I mean, the only vault, not the only vault, but the vault that's the most normal is Vault 81. You go to Vault 81, and due to the strength and determination of the Overseer, the first Overseer, she saved her entire population from being exterminated by horrible viruses. Because of that, the vault was able to grow up more or less normal. And when we actually find the vault in Fallout 4, the Overseer isn't some megalomaniac, narcissistic, power-hungry person like the leader of Vault 101 in Fallout 3. So you've actually got a vault where the people are living their lives and they're healthy and they're happy, and the Overseer allows its members to leave whenever they want. Well, Trader Riley, for example, was a Vault 81 resident who just decided she wanted to leave and travel the wasteland. Now, she may have regretted her decision, but the Overseer, McNamara, didn't stand in her way. That's a healthy community. It's a healthy community where they vote upon their leadership and people are free to live their lives. That's probably the vault I would choose to have come from.
Okay, we got a question which I believe is a spoiler. I don't know if you want to spout out spoilers on your show or not.
I don't know if it's a spoiler until you tell me.
It discusses something about at the end of Fallout 4 and something about that. I don't know if...
That's probably a spoiler. We probably shouldn't talk about it.
Okay. Sorry. Spoilers are kind of discouraged for those who haven't played Fallout much like myself.
You know, you could talk to me in the administration chat on Discord and tell me what it is. Unless it's really long, and that would be a lot of typing.
It's kind of long, yeah.
All right. We'll skip that for now. No spoilers. Just in case.
Oh, we got a tip here. Oh, it's from Cameron Rogu again, who asks, so, Ox, do you ever, and I mean, brace yourself for this, ever plan on doing lore videos for Fallout Tactics and Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, the Fallout we don't talk about?
Yes. In fact, I've purchased the Fallout Tactics strategy guide, and I own Fallout Tactics. I'm not doing it right now. I really want to get through Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 before I hit Fallout Tactics. But since Fallout Tactics is referred to in Fallout 4, in particular with Knight Commander Kells in the Brotherhood of Steel Zeppelin, who refers to Chicago. He refers to some of those Zeppelins crashing in Chicago, which is an event that happened in Fallout Tactics. Since he referred to events here, we know that at least part of this game is canon, which suddenly makes it interesting to me. So he said that Tactics was an underrated game, or somebody said that in the chat. I saw that briefly. And you're right, from everything that I've read about Tactics, it really was an underrated game. And it has a lot of really interesting things, including intelligent deathclaws, hairy deathclaws, all sorts of cool stuff. I think one of the reasons that it's not considered canon is because the Brotherhood of Steel chapter in this game was much less Maxonian. They allowed ghouls and robots and even Deathclaws to become members, and that's very not what the Brotherhood of Steel is. But I don't think that's any reason to say that Tactics is not canon, because Even in Fallout 3, Lion's Brotherhood of Steel, which is focused on helping the Capital Wasteland and providing them with a clean source of water, is also very not Maxonian, which is why the Outcasts came to be to begin with. So anyway, I'm reserving judgment on whether or not this should be considered a canon game until I play it. But I'm not reserving that judgment on Brotherhood of Steel, which is very different. And I know it can be confusing, but we are talking about two different games. This game is called Fallout Tactics, subtitle Brotherhood of Steel, but it's more commonly referred to as Fallout Tactics. There was another game that came out for consoles only called Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, and it, from everything I've seen, I've watched gameplay footage, I've read reviews, it's a horrible game. That's a horrible game. It's not even an RPG game. And the dialogue is awful, and it's overly sexual. Like, they've got all of their female characters just, it's crazy. Like, so but the thing is, I'm interested in seeing, playing it firsthand, just so that I understand the lore involved in the game. That said, it's probably not canon, so I will probably not include it in any of my videos. I really only want to focus on canon lore. But one of these days, I'm going to have to download an emulator and play Fallout Brotherhood of Steel just to see whether or not it's as bad as people say it is.
Omegalodon63 asks, Oxhorn, do you prefer Rex or dog meat? It also adds that Tactics is completely canon and love that game in its entirety.
Well, not to correct you, but parts of Tactics are canon, and there are parts of Tactics which, at least according to everything I've read, have not been officially substantiated by Bethesda as canon. We have to remember that it's Bethesda who owns the IP now, and it's Bethesda who decides what is canon and what is not. And I recall talking, I forget, I'll have to track this down so that I don't provide misinformation, but I remember reading something about how Bethesda thought that a lot of the lore about Deathclaws in that game was not canon. And yet at the same time, they do refer to events from Fallout Tactics. So part of it is canon. It's one of those weird things where it's semi-canon and semi-not canon. At any rate, I'm really interested. I can't wait to get down and play that game. But to answer your question, who do I like more, dog meat or Rex? I'm going to have to say dog meat, just because, dog meat is dog meat. You find dog meat in Fallout 1. You get dog meat in all of the other games except for New Vegas, to my knowledge. Rex is great, but his personality is different depending upon the brain you put within him. I don't know, there's just something really cool about dog meat.
Okay, we got, actually, no, that's not a question aimed towards you, never mind. Let me look through some more.
Scotch break. Cheers. Mr. Sir says, do you want Obsidian or Bethesda to take control of the next installment of Fallout? Great question. And I don't care, honestly. I just want there to be a next installment of Fallout. I love what they did after Fallout 3. Bethesda developed a game engine. They produced and published Fallout 3. They then gave it to Obsidian, and Obsidian made Fallout New Vegas on the same engine. I would love it if they did the same thing. While they're working on Fallout 5, if they could give the Fallout 4 engine to Obsidian and say, hey, make a new game. I would love that because they make such great games. And the Fallout 4 engine is so much more impressive than the Fallout 3 engine. So yeah, either way, I'd be happy. If Bethesda comes out with a new game next, or if Obsidian comes out next, either way, I'm thrilled because it's a new game.
All right, you know what? I kind of have a question myself, and forgive me if you've been asked this many, many times. As an individual, as a person who's never touched a Fallout game, and forgive me, folks, because, guilty as charged. I have to be on. I have to come clean here. Anyway, so as someone who's never played the Fallout series, would you consider a kind of like a beginner's guide, like a maybe a short series of videos to anyone who's new into Fallout and wants to get into it, like just a whole video series revolving that?
That's something that I toyed with. That's one of the questions that one of my viewers asked me to make when I first started doing New Vegas videos. The question was, is there any way you could do a primer on New Vegas for those of us who have only played Fallout 4? And I understand where that question is coming from, and it makes a lot of sense to me. It's hard for me to do that now at this stage, because in order to make a primer on each of these games and to really sum up the main plot of the games in a brief, 10-minute video or something like that, I would really, before I could do so, I would want to know everything about it. And I don't know everything about either of these games, any of these games. I'm still going through them. It's one of those things that I want to save to do later. Maybe someday I'll sit down and do the whole story arc of Fallout, starting with Fallout 1, and in a series of, 10 or so 10-minute videos, we go through every major storyline arc in the entire Fallout franchise, just so that someone who's never played Fallout before gets it. But if I were to ever do something like that, it would be quite a long time from now. All right, one more question, then we got to get to the game.
Okay, we got another tip from Jalo Zin, who asks, will you ever do a Mothership Zeta lore through?
Yes, I will. It's one of those things where I'm going to be focusing on the New Vegas DLCs right now, but I, of course, will go through every single Fallout 3 DLC, and one of them is Mothership Zeta, so never fear, I will indeed go through Mothership Zeta.
All right, and we got one more tip from Cameron Rogu once again. Asks, following the Rex or Dogmeat question, do you think Dogmeat is some kind of eternal being like the mysterious stranger?
No, I don't. Only because I think each Dogmeat we find is just another dog named Dogmeat. So the Dogmeat we find at the Red Rocket truck stop in Fallout 4 is not the same Dogmeat we found at the scrapyard in Fallout 3. Another reason I think this is because in Fallout 3, Dogmeat can die. And there's even a perk you can buy that allows Dogmeat to have baby puppies. Even though I don't believe there's ever a... Do we ever find out what gender Dogmeat is? I guess from Fallout 3, we are to presume that it's a female dog, but we don't ever find a male dog. Anyway, we don't understand how, but there's a perk in Fallout 3 that allows Dogmeat to have puppies, and if the original Dogmeat dies, you can find a Dogmeat puppy back at Vault 101. You can re-recruit the dog. It's still called Dogmeat, and you can go on your way. So I think the Dogmeat we find is not the same Dogmeat, just a different dog named Dogmeat. Okay. So, I am going to press that button, and then press that button, and hope for the best. Last time I tried this... Oh dear. Yep. This is why I say hope for the best. All right, hold on a second. Here we go. Let's try this again. Nope, that's not wanting to do it either. All right, hold on, here we go. We got this. Let's see if I put that up there, and then if I put this up here. No, it is wanting to crash to desktop. All right, let's turn video off for just a second. Let's see if maybe that was doing it. Maybe that had something to do with this. Let's bring that on up there. Yeah. All right. Yes, I realize it's a black screen, but give me just a second. Let me get to a point where I can pause, and then I will put the screen back on, and we can cross our fingers and hope that my machine does not crash. All right, let's go to the main menu. Okay, now that we're on the main menu, I'll tab over here. Got that there. Okay, let's put on video. Oh, there's the face. Okay, there's the desktop, and we can try. Look at that! Success, ladies and gentlemen. Took a little bit of finagling, but we got it working. Right, so the way this is going to work is we are going to be focusing on gameplay for the next 30 minutes or so. If you have any questions, we may take a Q&A break here and there.
What about the money?
Ooh, am I getting some screen tearing? Oh, what is that? That's new. Oh.
Even the apocalypse didn't stop us from killing one another over ideology. I was about to go through the front line between the Nazis and the communists. I've heard they once fought another war, and that the Nazis lost.
Yes, but the communists only won because they allied with the capitalists.
Congratulations on your arrival to the front line. I hope you will make our motherland
Oh, this is where I
the
am.
future of and the future of mankind. Now rests in your hands. The bag is here. Join me in the song. Bye-bye.
Sorry, hold on a minute. My video seems really different. No, it's still really bad. Look at that. What the heck happened?
Quit your yapping. Ammo's mining. Prepare for action. Guys, the picture here.
Great chance for a sniper rifle. But man, this quality is horrible. What's going on? I don't recall changing any settings whatsoever. And the screen tearing is not fixed. I'm gonna have to... Oh, I love this guy.
Attention! We got company! Shit! Where from? Why would I know? Just watch it! You see him yet? Hiding somewhere.
Ah! Alright, I think this is my new favorite gun. Yep, this is my new favorite. Okay, do these guys keep coming? Is there ever a moment when they stop coming? See, I don't know which faction I've uncovered here. Is this the Nazis or the Soviets? Ammunition. I love it. Well, I'm not sure what happened to my video settings. I haven't played this game since I played it last week, so I'm not sure why everything is so horrible. All this screen tearing is pretty bad, and it's low resolution. Sorry about that. I'm not sure why, but I'll figure it out. Oh! Oh, is that instant death right there? There we go. So I missed a key somewhere, but at this point, I don't care. Oh, and it's a dead end. Oh, so I'm gonna have to go back and find this. Screen tearing is driving me bonkers. Look at that. Ah. I've got VSync on. Quality is set to very high. Oh! Now why did this get set so low? Okay, I'm gonna restart just because this is so bad. I can't save though, can I? Yeah, it still looks really bad. Okay, let me put that on there. Let's go over here. Let's restart this game. It was just too bad. I just couldn't even deal with it. All right, let's try this again. Turn that off. Let's turn this on. And hopefully we won't crash. Nope, and we do crash. Huh. Well, maybe that's why it put me at such a low resolution. Let's try hitting on that. And then setting this to there. Such is the nature of a live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that's much better. Much better. Oh, fantastic. Okay. I realize the screen is dark. I realize that. Hold on. Give me a second. I just have to verify 18 Mike says, try to find that key now that you're starting over again. Yeah, I will. I was just too distracted by the screen tearing. It was so bad. Oh, that's so much better.
Incendiary grenade, guaranteed to keep your enemy warm.
Although, actually, I'm seeing more. Ah!
Self-defense is everyone's right. Protect yourself. Buy a gun.
Whoa! And the game crashed again. That's okay. Never fear, ladies and gents. I got this. I got this. Nope. We keep on crashing. Well, let's try something else. Nope, that also crashes me. Well, I'm doing a mix of changing screen resolutions to see if I can get this to work. Weird. Well, I know I can't keep going like this that much further, but I'll try just a couple more times. Nope, and it still wants to crash on me. Let's try this. It's a conflict with my broadcasting software, is what it is. And I don't understand it. This game is supposed to... Oh, maybe it's because I have... There we go. So I'm using Shadow Play. Hold on a second. I'm using Shadow Play to record footage in my videos. But Shadow Play does not play nicely with live streaming broadcasting software. So I'm going to go ahead and turn Shadow Play off. I'm going to try launching Metro again. So far, so good.
Good fish and great prize.
All right, now to launch. Is this scintillating? No, it's not, is it? All right, let's try turning this off first, then going here. Nope, that's not making it work either. So let's go here, play that. Yes, go to safe mode. So it works in safe mode, but safe mode is going to give me extremely poor video quality.
stuck in the tunnels, Ranger.
Okay, I can't solve this. So something happened. It's a conflict with the broadcasting software that I use. I'm using a broadcast software called XSplit, which has a number of problems, and it's just not playing very good with this game I'm trying to stream. So I'm going to have to solve this issue and do a live stream another day. So I'm sorry about that. I really wanted to play this game. I was looking forward to it all week, but technical difficulties, what can you do? At any rate, this is going to give me more time to work on my video for tomorrow. So I need to get working on that anyway. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I will have to figure this out in time for next week's show. This show broadcasts every Thursday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific. If only you had worn your suspenders, says Jocelyn Young. Yes, that's probably what the issue was. The issue was that I failed to wear my suspenders. Things like this happen if I do not wear the complete set bonus. So,
Or if you were to perhaps blow some smoke rings, but again, I'm not one to.
Well, you are remembering the old days of the program where smoke rings were a common occurrence. But you may be correct. Maybe I was lacking the smoke rings. At any rate, I will do my best to try and figure out this problem, but never fear, ladies and gentlemen, we will have a show next week, 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific time on Thursday, and as always, I will have a brand new video for you tomorrow morning. Big shout out and a thanks to Greg Hartung and all of the other mods. Take a bow, everybody.
/bow.
And Big Stacks 2 is in the chat. All of the old timers are coming in today. This is great. Anyway, thanks everybody for coming. Sorry that we didn't get to do Metro. Really apologize for that. I'll figure out the technical problems and we'll get back to normal next week. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with a brand new video.
Have a great weekend, folks.